Welcome to Tea with Changelings, where we discuss all things art-related over a cup of tea. And the Changeling Artist Collective is a group of fantasy artists from all around the world. And you can find us on our website, changelingartistcollective.com, and on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr. My name is Eeva Nikunen, and with us today we have Kmye-chan. And we were supposed to have Heather Hudson as well, but she had some technical difficulties with her computer. So I hope we will have her here next time, maybe. So it's just Kmye and I this time. So welcome.
Hey, hi. I don't know how it works, so I hope that you guys can actually see me.
Yeah, the camera kind of switches like whenever you're talking, like we can see your face, like. Especially if you're showing some artwork or anything, just say something at the same time so we can see like a close-up of you. So yeah. So you're not drinking tea at the moment, or?
Oh, I actually got some water to boil and I forgot to take my cup.
That's fine.
So, yeah. I'll go and get it. I'll just go and get it ready.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back with action.
Okay, great. Okay. Do you have a story behind the cup you have?
Not really. I mean, I drink a lot of tea, so I like having like these extra large cups. And I like this one because it has like old style unicorns and like it looks like an old tapestry. It's really nice.
Oh, it's really pretty. Yeah. I have a lot of Disney cups. It seems like I have a Disney cup every time.
Oh, okay.
This is actually from Shanghai Disneyland.
Okay. Yep. Oh, when did you get there?
I was there last year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was kind of amazing to be able to visit. So this says vintage Shanghai. So.
Oh, really nice. How long did you stay in China?
It was I'm getting an echo from your.
Oh, sorry. I'll try and plug my headset.
Yeah.
Might work a bit better. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah, it's probably better. Yeah.
Yeah, I was there for a couple of weeks. Yeah, I was really lucky to be able to travel there. So it was pretty amazing. The Shanghai Disneyland is actually only a few years old, so it's one of the newest parks. And I think they have the biggest castle of any of the the castle was huge. So yeah.
Yeah, because we have one in Paris, but it's pretty old. It's like 20, 25 years old. And like it's starting to show a little bit. Mm-hmm. I mean, I still like it. We go there quite regularly. And
yeah. And it's really easy to get there. Like I've been there a few times just by train from Paris. So you live in Paris, so it's very convenient for you.
Yeah, it's like it's not really close to Paris, but it's like less than an hour in train, so totally fine. And the train gets you literally inside the park. So
yeah, it's great. So so we already said that you're in Paris, and I think we could just talk a little bit about do you have any art projects or anything you want to talk about, what you're working on at the moment?
Yeah, so I'm kind of in between projects. I we were discussing before we went live. I actually work as a scientist most of the time, and I've been fairly busy for the past couple of years. Kind of a transition time, and I haven't had a lot of time, to be honest, to draw a lot. And I've been thinking over the past few months that I need to get on a tighter schedule and to actually plan a bit more so that I actually get more done on the outside. And so I have two projects. One is kind of short time, the other is longer time that I want to start working on. The first one is that I want to do a Zodiac series of large-ish. I don't work very large, but large-ish illustrations, all 12 of them around next year. I'm going to try and start in September and like have one of them done every month for the sign of the month. The other one is a project I've mentioned a couple of times on Facebook for people who follow me quite regularly. My grandfather was from Brittany in France, and he collected old folktales. Most of them have never been put in writing. And so I have this collection. When he passed away a few years ago, he passed along to me this collection of folktales. And I've been wanting to make a kind of illustrated series on them. Something between, not really illustrations, not really a comic, like comic book, something a bit in between, possibly animated, or using animated GIFs and all this kind of stuff. That's a bit more intensive because I'm not an animator. I don't have any kind of
animation background, or
not even illustration. I mean, I learned, I'm mostly self-taught, so I don't really have all this kind of knowledge to do this kind of projects. So there's quite a bit of a learning curve on this project that I'm hoping to tackle. Most of it would be online, and so as part of my job, I do code. I know how to program. I know how to write code. So I'm hoping like to try to get this together at one point. That's more long-term. Something I need to plan a bit more and actually get the knowledge to actually get running.
Yeah, would that be something that maybe you could like collaborate with someone who has like animation background, or?
Possibly. I mean, I like collaborating. The main problem is that I'm not super reliable in terms of schedule and anything, because sometimes like work gets in the way, and so I don't like not being reliable with people. So I try to do this on my own, and also, it's a very personal project for me. I was very close to my grandfather. And so that's kind of a project I want to do on my own, even if it takes a long time and it's a long time in becoming. It's fine. Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. And so you kind of you work as a freelance illustrator. Do you do any of that stuff, or do you just mainly work on personal projects?
No, I work on personal projects. I used to do a bit of freelance when I was younger. And I mean, it was fine, but I prefer working on my own projects, and I like my job as a scientist pays for the rent and everything. So I don't really need the money, which is good. I mean, it gives me more time to work on my own projects, especially like lately, I don't have a lot of time. I prefer to work on projects that mean a lot to me than working on other people's projects.
Yeah. Have you done like any like Kickstarters or any other maybe like book project or anything previously, or would this be like your first time like doing something like maybe Kickstarter related with your zodiac? Or
not myself. I've worked in collectives. So for the past 3 years I was in the 78 Tarot group who was doing an illustrated tarot deck every year. And this was Kickstarted. So I actually saw behind the scenes how it works. But I wasn't the one handling the entire like Kickstarter thing, handling the printing, everything. So I haven't really done that yet. That's also why I would like to start the Zodiac series, because like I could do small Kickstarters for the prints and everything, and just kind of get started small and kind of move my way up to more ambitious projects. We'll see how that works.
Are there any like zodiac cards or anything that you could do? Like, I'm trying to think like how to expand. Like, have you done any research like how people like consume the zodiacs, or do they like to buy prints, or do you have like card decks or something?
Yeah, so I have to think this through exactly. I haven't completely. My initial plan was mostly to do prints. Because that's what I still have, but I don't use it anymore. I used to have a really good printer, and I used to do prints a few years ago, and I stopped because I just didn't have the time to handle all the shipping and all the packaging, and it was a bit too much work to have this like orders coming every few days and having to run to the post office every few days. It it was a bit too time consuming for me. But like I'm used to making prints. I know how to make very nice prints. But I was thinking of expanding, like maybe doing postcard sets, and I'd have to see what people would be interested in. Maybe, I don't know, shirts. We'll have to see. I might just simply set up some kind of shop online, like a Redbubble or something, so that people can just order what kind of merchandise they like, and just keep the prints for the Kickstarter, and just have like really nice limited edition prints that people can order from me, and then have the merchandise on the side if people are more interested in like anything else.
Do you have a special reason for like an interest in the zodiac, or how did you kind of come up with that project? Like, what's your inspiration behind doing all those paintings?
Well, I've been wanting to do a series for quite a while now, and I didn't really know what to pick because, like most series, like people think like you could do a tarot deck. Lots of people were asking me to do a tarot deck. Actually, after I did the 78 tarot 3 times in a row, people were just like, "You should just do your own deck." I was just like, "Yeah, but 78 cards. That's like, I'll be there in 20 years and I won't be finished." and so I wanted something like consistent, but not as ambitious as like a whole deck. Even doing like all 21 of the major arcana sounded like a lot of work. So 12 was like a nice sweet spot in the middle. It's a nice series. You can get it going for a little while, and it's not so ambitious that it's completely crazy for me considering how much time I have. And I mean, 12 cards, that's the principle of the zodiac. It works nicely around the year. I can like time to have one every month and just set myself deadlines. 1 month is like, it's a reasonable amount of time for me to actually do a full artwork. That's usually the time I take. Even if I do like some smaller works on the side, like 1 month is like a good time frame for me. So that kind of works nicely. And like, I kind of like the zodiac. I feel you can have lots of interpretation on it. It doesn't have the same pressure as tarot. Tarot, lots of people use for divination or for self-help. And I feel that it's a bit pressuring to know that people are going to put a lot of meaning in the cards that you're making. Zodiac, I find, is a bit more fun, a bit more flexible. You can have, like, you can rely on a lot of symbolism, and you can like do your research very nicely, but at the same time, it's very flexible, and you have a lot of new creative things that you can bring into the illustrations. So that sounded appealing to me, and the way the different cards work together, different signs, it looked like a nice project that I could make work together.
Yeah, I've been also kind of thinking about, I would also like to someday maybe do a tarot deck, but yeah, like you said, like 78 paintings, it's a bit daunting.
Yeah.
So I've been kind of playing around with the idea of doing an oracle deck at some point.
Yep.
Because that's kind of like you can come up with your own cards. It's not so
it's a bit more flexible.
Yeah, flexible. Yeah, so, and it doesn't have, like, I have one oracle deck. I think it has like 40 cards in it, so that could be doable at some point. So
yeah, that sounds good. And the other option that is also nice is doing like a regular card deck. But I feel like a lot of people have been doing that recently. Like, obviously Wiley Beckert did a very beautiful one.
Yeah.
I was just like, that's nice. That's 12 cards, and then you can just do the minor cards, like just come up with one symbol and just arrange it, and it's really nice. But yeah, I felt like it didn't appeal to me as much as the zodiac.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like the like, it's really important that you're excited about like the product that you're doing. Like, yeah, I've thought about card, like game cards as well, but like I don't use game cards. I don't play with them, so I'm like, I'm not really interested in that. So
okay.
Yeah, so like for me, like an oracle deck, like that's like, I love oracle decks. I wish I had more than one, but yeah, I look like online. I usually like see what other artists are doing, and I see a lot of artists do beautiful oracle decks, and that's kind of like I've been hoping like maybe someday I could do that as well. So that kind of brings us to then another thing that we were supposed to talk about, which is so we're both part of the Changing Artist Collective, and we have this project called Odd Fae, which will be a card game. And I believe the name of the card game is it's an old Victorian card game called Old Maid, I think.
Yeah, I think it is in English. I mean, in France, it's still a game that we play. It still exists.
What's it? Does it have a French name? Like,
it does. It's called Le Pouilleux.
Okay.
And so the Pouilleux means a guy who has fleas.
Oh. Okay.
Because the principle of the Old Maid and of the Pouilleux in French is that at the end you get stuck with the one card that doesn't have a matching pair.
Yeah, so that's kind of like the point of the game, and I think we have a little bit over 30 artists working on that project at the moment, and the idea is that like every one of us has one symbol that we have, and then we have to do two cards in that symbol, and one card has to be a seelie fairy, like a good fairy, and the other one is unseelie, like a bad fairy. And your symbol was blackberry, wasn't it?
It's blackberry, yes.
Yeah.
Yours is raspberry, right?
Raspberry, yeah. So it's kind of similar, just different colors. So you had some sketches or something. Do you want to show like or tell something about how you approached the theme of your card and how you've been working on them?
Yeah, sure. I have my original sketches for my cards. I hope that you guys can actually see the sketches. So we have the unseelie right here, the bad fairy, and the seelie here, so the good fairy. And the way I approached these was, have you read Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell?
I haven't actually. No.
Okay, because lots of people are just like, oh, it looks like something from Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, and it's one of my favorite books. And so in this book they have fairies, and they are like just like, they look human, but they're kind of strange looking and very thin and very like wispy hair and stuff. And I was just like, okay, I'll just try to take some inspiration from that and try to come up with these two characters. And I wanted them to be male because most of the people who have participated in the game made female fairies. So I wanted to have two males. And I was just like, well, like neither of them are just bad or really good. They're just like, they're fairies. They like nature, and they like doing pranks and stuff. And so the good fairy is just like, he's caring for the blackberries, he's caring for the flowers and just being nice to them. And the unseelie is actually eating them, plucking them out of the tree. And yeah, that was kind of the idea. I wanted them to be very similar in layout, like just flipped around, but very similar in position and in layout. And same for the colors. Like this one is going to be mostly dark with some spot of light colors, and the other one is going to be mostly light with some spot of dark colors.
Is that the way you always do your sketches with colors? Like, do you already test colors in the sketch phase?
No, I usually don't. I did this for this one because so behind the scenes, like, we were all sharing sketches to make sure that the desk was consistent, and so I rarely do thumbnails. I do them sometimes, but not always. I usually do like some kind of sketches to get the position and the positioning and stuff, but they're not actual thumbnails. And I don't usually test the colors either. What I do is that I have one? No, probably not. Is that I will make a small card when I'm painting, and swatch all of my colors, all the colors I'm going to use. And I group them by colors, like light colors, dark colors, medium colors, and just try to arrange them in a way that makes sense for me for the painting. But yeah, no, that's pretty actually pretty unusual for me.
Okay. Have you started either of the paintings? Like, how do you like move from the sketch phase to the actual painting?
So the way I work usually is that, so I cut my paper to the right side that I like. I tape it to a board. I'll show you afterwards because I actually have the works in progress behind me.
Okay.
And then I will take my ruler and like start putting all kinds of lines, like straight lines around my work area to place the points of interest of my drawing. So that after that, I'm going to just sketch, but I know where I want to place the important things at the intersection of lines, so that it works nicely and it flows nicely, and like you have some interesting lines across the drawing. And then I will sketch. I will sketch around those lines to just place my elements and just sketch. And once I'm happy with the sketch, which sometimes takes a few tries, I will ink with pens and with very dark and matte acrylic paint. Yeah, and so the end result at this stage looks like this. So that's the sketch for, well, the finished lining for my Unsilly card. So
I love that.
See, like, what?
It kind of makes me think about like early 1900s illustration style a little bit. Like,
yeah,
I really love that style. Like,
yeah. Mm. Often refer to Birdsley or yeah. And I have the other one right here. That is the Good Fairy.
Oh, I really love that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and the costumes as well, like, or all the detail in his shirt and everything.
So. Yeah, so I went a bit overboard with so I'm trying to loosen the way I draw, because I tend to be like very linear in the way that I work. Like, I'm going to like do my drawing in ink and then pass to the next step, and I don't go back to the ink. And I'm trying to be a bit more flexible about the way I work. So I was just made a fairly simple sketch for these ones, and then I just took the pens and I was just like, just ink, just do the thing, just don't think about it too much. And I ended up adding a lot of detail that wasn't planned in the beginning.
I'm kind of interested in your process. Like, I've started one of my cards, and I'm actually I was curious because I always end up at some point of the painting, I end up like really doubting myself and kind of also like hating the painting. So I always go through that stage, and when I just have to work through that, and when I get through that, then I'm kind of like I'm okay with the painting again. Like, do you go through this, or is it like do you have the struggles, or is it just like the joy of creation all throughout the painting for you? How does it work?
Yeah, I have the same. I have like this kind of ugly phase syndrome at the middle of like starting to come together, and still looks really bad. Yeah, I think that happens with most paintings. I have a couple of paintings that didn't happen, but most of the time, yeah, there's like this kind of middle step where, yeah, it's not detailed enough that it looks good. It's not simple enough that it looks good. It's just the colors just don't look right, and you just need to tie everything together. And yeah, that definitely happens to me as well. I think it happens to a lot of artists.
Yeah, it's just like I've been just like struggling really hard this whole weekend with that feeling, like especially with one of my paintings, because it's kind of like scary, because it that it always happens, Like when, for example, when I start a new painting, I'm really excited, and it's really a lot of fun, and and then I like at some point I get really scared because I know that that stage is coming, like when I will start hating the painting, and then it's like it's always the same feeling. It's like such a struggle to get through that, and I'm kind of like I noticed, I don't know, how much do you share like your work in progress? Do you kind of wait until you're finished with the painting, or do you share like on Instagram or Facebook like your work in progress? And how do you feel about that, like showing those stages?
So I share, I won't usually share the entire drawing, the entire painting. I will like share a small bit that I don't feel too bad about. I actually kind of like sharing because so I find people respond to it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes more than the finished painting.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Yeah,
behind the scenes stuff. So I try to do it. I try not to be too self-conscious about it. Just like, you know, it happens. Even if the painting fails in the end, which happens sometimes, it's just like it happens. You do stuff. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. It's okay. And yeah, so I do share. I try to share quite a lot. Also because I don't draw this like that much. So if I only share finished paintings, I would be posting once a month or something.
Yeah.
So I just show the stuff, and I find that people actually quite like it, even if it's unfinished or doesn't look too good. I mean, also I think we feel that it doesn't look good because we know where we want to go, and we know it doesn't meet our expectations yet, in a way. And I think people who look at it with fresh eyes they don't have the same expectations, and like they can see it's unfinished, but they can see it's going to get better in a way.
Yeah. Because like I'm working on my I have the sketch here, so like a little bit about like my process. I draw usually these kind of like it's on toned paper, so it's kind of like brown paper, and I use pencils, and then I just maybe use some white gouache paint or a white colored pencil. And I was actually really excited about this painting, and I'm working on, so I work in oils, and I'm working on this wooden, like this.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so this is the current stage of the painting, and it's actually at a really awkward stage at the moment. I was working on it. I was really happy with the underpainting. So what I do is I start with just doing like a two-tone, like just with raw umber and white. So it's kind of like a brown and white painting at the beginning, and then I start glazing color layers on top. And sometimes what happens is just like I start to get a little bit lost at that stage sometimes, and I'm actually at that moment like I realized that I had maybe there was just something wrong with the composition that was just bothering me a lot. So I just sharing that, like I know just like only other artists are gonna see this conversation, so I'm happy to share this like struggle at the moment. So yeah, but I'm hoping I can get back to this next week. Just maybe I can get over that stage. Like I'm just looking at it right now, and just something's wrong, and I know I have to fix
it looks lovely to me, but
yeah, but it just and also like the colors are a bit off. Like it doesn't really show in the computer image, but like when I see it in person, like just I'm not really happy with the tones at the moment. So I just have to do like more color layers on top and just see where it goes. But that was just kind of like what I've been thinking about like this weekend is like the kind of the pressure to share all the time. So I've been just trying to maybe share a little bit less because I felt like in the past when I share too many work in progress photos, sometimes it can like stress me out even more when I know that people have already seen those and I'm still working on the painting and I still kind of don't know where it's going. So I was just curious, like, how you handle that.
Yeah, I'm like, well, the situation is maybe a bit different for me because like it's not my job. So like if people think that what I do is shit, it's fine. So yeah, I don't feel a lot of pressure to share, to be honest. Like people who follow my Instagram and my Facebook will know that sometimes I don't post for weeks, and like it's fine. It's just I don't have time to draw. I don't have time to take care of my Instagram. It's okay. And when when I'm working on stuff, I'm actually pretty excited because that means I have a bit of time and a bit of energy, and so I'm usually kind of in a good mood, and I kind of want to share what I'm working on. And even if it doesn't look too good, like it doesn't really bother me. I find that people are not really judgmental. I don't know. Maybe I just have a great following. I don't know. But people on my social media are always really, really nice and like pretty excited about just seeing just new things. And so I'm just like, sometimes it's just not very good. Sometimes I just also share stuff that just failed, stuff that just didn't work out. I will also share sometimes, just because like it happens. And so yeah, it's the only thing that stresses me out sometimes is when I've shared something and I don't have time to finish it. And I'm just like, I've shared this like 2 months ago, and I should get back to it and I should finish it. And otherwise it's just going to sit on the corner of my desk for months and months and months, and I may never finish it. That sometimes stresses me, but a bit in a good way as well, because like it's kind of keeping me on track and keeping me on the schedule to finish stuff, which sometimes like I can just get carried away and just start something new that is more exciting and more fresh, and I just like don't really want to go back to the old stuff.
Yeah. I try to force myself, like especially like projects that are for something like a commission or other work projects. Like of course you have to finish those, and just like sometimes it can be good because like that forces you to finish them and just get over like whatever like your issues are with the painting. Just don't be too self-critical and just get over it. So yeah.
And I mean, there's a good thing to be said about just like doing the thing, just not overthinking it too much, and just like it's okay. Not every painting has to be your greatest painting ever. It's just doing a lot of stuff is better than just completely obsessing over getting like this tiny detail right that nobody is going to notice anyway, which is something I do a lot. And just like, I need to fix this, and my husband is just like, you need to fix what? Like I can't even see it. And I mean that's okay, but there's a good thing to be said about just doing, just not obsessing too much, and just getting the flow going. And when you get the flow going, I find that I work better, I work faster, and I just like don't think about it too much. I just let the thing happen, and it sometimes usually turns out really nicely, more nicely than when I just try to correct every single little detail and try to get everything right. And in the end, I tend to lose the consistency and the coherence of the whole thing, and the final painting looks all over the place. So
yeah, I recently had a conversation with a fellow artist and a friend of mine kind of about this, just like it's sometimes really hard to decide like when your painting is finished. But I think like when you get to the stage where like you kind of feel like you achieved what like not like perfectly what you had the image in your mind at the beginning when you started, but you're still like happy with it. You can still see the things that you would like to improve, and but they don't bother you so much that you can't share it with others. So just finding that balance, like getting the joy of the finished painting at the same time knowing like what you could have done better, but still like I think it's a balance of those two things.
Yeah, that's true. What I usually do is that when I finish the painting, I will just like let it sit in a corner, like, so I keep my drawings on a board, like taped on a board. I will just like put them facing the wall for like a week or something. And then I will get back to them and just see if it's really bothering me or not. If it's really bothering me or that just some small tweaks that I see I could be doing, I just do them. And otherwise it's just like, because when you're working on the painting for hours and hours, it's hard to know where to stop. And just when I feel like it's semi-final, I'll just like let it sit for a moment and just come back to it afterwards.
Yeah, it's funny because sometimes like if you put the painting away for a few days or even like a week or something, and then you come back to it, like maybe you see the things that you still have to do like with it to finish it, or then you kind of like already decide like okay, like it looks finished, like it looks like it's finished, even though like you thought it wasn't. Yeah, so you can like it's a good plan to sometimes just take a break from that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, well, I find it helpful. Maybe not everyone does, and sometimes I'll just like get back to it and be like, yeah, the color is not right. It needs, I don't know, a glaze of color all over just to tie the colors together, or it needs more detailing over here and not so many over there, and I just like make some little tweaks. And
yeah, I'm actually at the moment I'm working on a painting that's actually for a gallery show. I'm like putting so much pressure on myself. So with that painting, I decided that I won't share it until it's finished, because like just to try that, like if that helps to like take a little bit away from the pressure of finishing something or making it perfect or something. Not perfect, like nothing's ever perfect, but like just being happy with it myself. So yeah.
When is the gallery show?
It's well, I haven't really shared anything about it. It's
okay.
But yeah, it's in it's supposed to be in New York in August.
Okay.
August, yeah. So we'll see how that goes, but
okay,
that's the plan at the moment. Yeah. Do you do any? Have you had you work in galleries, or is that like anything you're interested in at all, or just?
Yeah, I used to work. So I used to be in an other artist collective before I joined Changeling, and they were very gallery oriented. So we did a lot of shows in the US, and I stopped because it was just too expensive for me to like pay for the shipping of. Paying for shipping for artwork to the US is excruciatingly expensive. So after a while, like I was just losing money over this, and I was just like, it's like at this point it's just become a vanity venture, and it's just not worth it for me. So I stopped. But it was fun. It was fun mostly because I kind of like having like this schedule where I had to produce paintings, sometimes a little bit out of my comfort zone, because the themes and the constraints of the show would sometimes be quite outside of what I usually do or what I would spontaneously do. And also, you get to have your art seen by people who are not your Facebook followers, and you get some interesting feedback from people who have seen your work in the gallery, and it was actually quite interesting. And I'm like, I have a couple of shows. I think I have one for sure in the fall.
Okay. Is that in France or somewhere else?
No, it's in Scotland. Yeah, same. It hasn't been announced yet, so I don't know if I can share or not. but yeah, I kind of stopped doing that because it was just not really worth it for me. I wasn't selling enough for it to be actually a good venture.
Yeah,
So.
I'm kind of like the same way. Like it's like I'm interested in doing. I haven't done a lot of gallery work, but like I'm interested in like I like the idea of like group shows, and like I'm very excited if someone asks me to like join those, and like I like the idea, but like I live in Finland. Like here, I have no interest in kind of like the gallery scene because number one, it's like such a like small thing here, like the art scene in general. Like I have no interest in that. But one thing that I would like to do, because I really love the library. My mother used to work at a library, and I actually worked some summers at libraries, and I really like visiting those. And they sometimes have like little art shows in the libraries here, and I just thought that that something like that would be really interesting to do. Like it's just something fun to do, like in my local community. Just like the idea of having my artwork, like have a little themed art show in a library. I think that would be really a lot of fun.
Yeah, that would be really nice. I mean, it's really nice to show around, like in your local area. I find in Paris it's not so easy. We have very few galleries that are actually interested in illustration, and the few that do tend to work with very famous artists, because we have a big comic book scene here in France, so they tend to work with very established artists. They're not very interested in like new up and coming illustrators. It's just not really their market.
Okay.
So it's not very easy to show. Where you could show is like in cafes or that's also nice, but yeah, it's a bit different than showing in a gallery. Like you have to kind of get people to come and see your work.
Yeah, but I like the idea of like cafes as well. I haven't done that, but like the idea would be like if it's a place that you know that your work is not gonna be like destroyed or people will like touch it or something. Like just
definitely, yeah, that's a bit the risk. Yeah, it's in a more exposed location, I guess.
Yeah, but still, like I like the idea, like especially like in Paris, like a cafe in Paris, like have your artwork there. Yeah,
that's nice. Yeah, no, it's like I feel so. Before I was showing in galleries, I was just like, it sounded like such a milestone, you know, like something that you have to do, and and yeah, I kind of went back from that. But yeah, it's still nice. It's important to know who you're working with, and like when my experience was that when you're still a young artist and kind of getting started in the gallery scene, it's hard to know which galleries are good and which ones are just kind of not so good and taking a bit of not so good to work with. And it's important to be a bit picky in my experience, and just like not be too overwhelmed by the idea, oh, I'm going to show in the gallery and it's going to be so exciting and so nice and stuff, because it can be a bit of a letdown when you never sell anything and you just end up paying for frames and shipping back and
you have to be really careful, because I get a lot of emails like from galleries. I don't even like really think that they have looked at my website or like where I live and stuff. So I get a lot of email from like US galleries, and it's always those that want you to pay for them to they send an email and then they ask like for you to just like send in your portfolio like for a review, and then you have to also pay. I'm like, why would I do that? Like,
so I used to live in the UK before I came back to Paris, and we had a lot of them in London. And in the UK, they're called vanity galleries because they're basically counting on the vanity of artists who want to show in a gallery. because you're basically just renting wall space for a lot of money, and the gallery has been paid. They have their money. They have no interest in selling your art ever. And
so I've heard those stories as well, like people sending their art like overseas for a lot of money, and then just like having to pay for it to be shipped back and everything, like just losing a lot of money. So
I mean, I've been there. Yeah, it's just like you should do your research, and not like, that's a tip for if anybody was watching. Wants to do gallery shows, you should really do your research, and it's not usual to pay for having your art shipped back to you. Usually the galleries pay for that. So if they are asking for more than 50% of the sale, or if they don't want to ship back, that's unusual, and you should be careful.
Yeah, also a good way if you know any other artists that have worked with that gallery, and then you can kind of like ask them like their experience.
What their experience is. Very important. Very important to go and ask people. There's a lot of galleries. Well, not a lot, but there's a few galleries where there's like, most of them are closed by now, but there was quite a bit of chat behind the scenes saying that dodgy practices and stuff.
Are there any have you ever done any conventions? Are there any conventions in France, or is that a thing like there?
So I have done exactly one, I think, in Switzerland a few years ago, because I was invited by a friend to, like, it was kind of working in a networking way. Like, you could invite, I was invited by a friend, and I had to invite a friend, and so on. And it was really fun. We have a few conventions in France, but they're mostly like anime, Japanese mangas, some US comic books stuff, and there's not a lot of interest in like hardcore illustration. There's no fantasy conventions like you would find, like, there's nothing like IluxCon or DragonCon. There's nothing like this in France. Like, just, that's not completely true. There are a couple of small ones, but they're very like small conventions. I've never really tried to get my feet into this. I think I would like to. I'm just a little bit nervous about like having to be in a booth for like 3 days and people come to talk to me. It's scary to me. I'm a very introverted person. I like staying at home with a book. It's a little bit scary to me. And I don't have a lot of friends in France who actually do this. So like going there on my own is a bit scary. But yeah, I might try at some point. It sounds a bit daunting. I've never done this. I wouldn't even know where to start to get my booth started or anything. So I might do it at some point, but at the moment it's a bit too scary for me. Do you do this?
I do a couple. We have some like nothing like in the US, of course, like nothing in that scale, but there's kind of like the fan community, like the fantasy communities, Tolkien fans. Like, I'm a Tolkien fan as well, so there's one big one that's kind of like a gaming and role play convention, which I usually go to, which I actually can't make this year because my friend is getting married in the same weekend, which is a bummer because I've been there like for the past 3 years, but I can go back next year. So, but I've sold at conventions, and it's even at like small conventions. I think the best thing there is just a chance to meet people. Like, I'm not like, I don't have trouble like talking to people like face to face. Like, I'm also kind of like an introvert, but I can like I can kind of hide that and just like talk to people. And it's actually a lot of fun. Like, I really enjoy, and also you kind of get to know the people who might like enjoy your art and kind of like get to know them a little bit, and also you get feedback, and like you kind of see like what people like, which is like I think it's very important feedback. So I really enjoy those events. So I try to do like at least a couple every year. So it's a lot of fun.
I know that the people who are in the group on Changeling who do quite a lot of convention, like they say it's exhausting, but they kind of love it. So yeah, I should like try to dip my toes at some point in a small one, just like no pressure. And I know that I have a couple of friends who do this and would like it. The main issue I think with the French conventions is that what sells is mostly like fan art, and like I don't do that. There's not a lot of interest in original art. I feel less than in the US, for example, anyway. So it tends to be very expensive to get a booth there. So
yeah, one of my dreams would be to do EluxCon, which is in the US. Maybe we will have a chance to go. Maybe next year.
I mean,
Have you ever applied
nice. It looks like everybody is there, and it looks super exciting and really nice.
Yeah, it's like artists hanging out with each other, and you get to see everyone's original art, and just like I've seen some video of the event, and just like looks like such a fun time. Like I want to go so bad.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, I was thinking about like because I was talking about this with Angela Sasser, which is also she's also in the Changeling group. So I think she said that she's been there, and there's like two options. You either apply for the main show, and it's like a portfolio review, and you get in or you don't get in. And then there's another like a second space for just like there's a number of tables, but you just have to be really quick to reserve that table. So it's like not guaranteed that you will get, like it's kind of like up to chance at that point. But yeah, I was thinking like maybe I could try next year. See how it goes.
Yeah. No, that looks really nice. It's just like for us from Europe, it's like you get to pay for the plane ticket and accommodation, and it becomes really expensive really fast, right? So
yeah, it would be mainly kind of like definitely not a money-making trip, but like a chance to get to know people, because I've been
investing in networking.
Yeah, because I found that like that's so important to get to like either like this, like through a video chat, or like the best thing is to just get to hang out with people face to face. It's like so important.
Yeah, and there was some chat at some point also to have like a small retreat of artists in Europe. I don't know where that went, if that happened at some point. That would be really nice too.
Yeah, something like in France, like in a castle or something. I would be up for that, like a weekend in a castle.
That would be really nice. I mean, we could, it's not really complicated to organize. We could look into it.
Yeah, we could do like a Changeling Europe edition.
Yeah, that is true, actually. I'm sure that Emily and Iris would be happy to come as well. So
yeah, even just like maybe like I don't know, just meet up somewhere, even if it's like not a castle, but something a little bit not so extravagant. But yeah, we should do something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So we have like maybe like 5 more minutes. So we're just kind of trying to keep this to like an hour.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you have anything? Do you want to tell us your website, like where people can find your art?
Yeah. So it's www.Kmye Kmye. How do you hyphen shan.com. I will actually type it in the chat box.
Yeah, you can type it there, and I also add it in
easier because I can't spell in English.
Yeah, it's I'll also have the link in the show notes. So
okay, and that's my website. It's not completely up to date, but mostly up to date. I think I updated it like a couple of months ago after 2 years of just leaving it be, which is bad.
Yeah,
shouldn't do that.
Have you thought about like maybe putting up a Patreon or something with your when you start working on your Zodiac series or?
Yeah, so I was thinking to maybe try to have like a separate page on my website, and also like trying a Patreon or something. If people want to like support the project, see what's happening. That will also be a good way to keep me on schedule, knowing that like there are people who are actually supporting the project. And so I was thinking of doing that. I find Patreon kind of overwhelming, but I guess that I just have to try and see how it works and make adjustments along the way. It would be fine.
Yeah, if you set it up in a way that you don't have to kind of do extra content. So it's just kind of like maybe more behind the scenes content that you would do anyway, but just like so it's not like extra work on top of everything else.
Yeah, that's what everybody is saying. Like, just don't shoot too big in the beginning. Just like keep it simple, keep it small. Just no extra content, and just more behind the scenes, or maybe some videos and this kind of stuff that I can do easily while I'm working. And that would probably be the content, at least in the beginning, just to see how it works. And we'll see in the future if it expands, if it works, if people are interested in that stuff. We'll see.
Yeah, well, I'm really looking forward to seeing
Thank you
what you create. And to the end, I would just say like so we are like an artist collective, and we have these auctions on Facebook where we auction of original art, or like sometimes hand embellished prints, or just like really nice stuff. So we have an auction coming up tomorrow, actually on Monday, and it's we always have a theme, and June's theme is mythical, which I think is kind of interesting, and I know a lot of artists will have stuff. Will you have anything for that auction this time?
I should. I haven't uploaded it yet, so I hope I can do that tonight still. I think I can.
Yeah, I think you need to do it tonight.
I'll do it tonight. I have 2 pieces that I want to put in the auction, so they will be coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, so if people are interested in that, and also just following the art that we create, it's Changeling Artist Collective on Facebook. So just I'll have the link in the show notes if you want to check out our Facebook page, and that's also where the art auctions take place. So, and we also have a mailing list, and we do like fun giveaways. Sometimes I'm actually giving away these greeting cards. I'm not sure if that giveaway is still active, but still, like, we will have more from different artists every time. So just a lot of fun art stuff if you want to follow that. So yeah, well, we maybe should end this now. And it was a lot of fun talking to you. And
it was really nice chatting with you.
yeah, it's always so much fun to talk to fellow artists and kind of learn more what everyone is doing. And hopefully we will have you here some other time as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
It would be really nice. Okay. Well, see you next time.
Bye.
Thanks to everyone who watched, and bye-bye.
Bye.